Hello guys, welcome back to a brand new video. In this video, we will be doing a hypothetical election prediction for Hillary Clinton versus Ted Cruz. Hillary Clinton ended up facing Donald Trump in the 2016 election, obviously, but if Donald Trump had not run Ted Cruz, there was a good chance that Ted Cruz would have been the nominee for the Republicans in the 2016 election. So we are going to do a election prediction for if this was the 2016 election. These two would be the nominees. So we're going to do the election based off of that. We'll start off by filling off all of these safe states. All of these states over here: Alaska, Utah, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia. All of these states would still be safe for the Republicans if Ted Cruz was the nominee, and I believe all of these states would have been safe. In Hawaii. So that puts us at 183 safe electoral votes for Hillary Clinton and 125 safe electoral votes for Ted Cruz. So we'll start off by filling up the likely lean and tilt states. We'll go over here starting with Maine at large. I think Maine at large would go by likely, and Maine's second would go by lean. Donald Trump produced one of the shocks of the night by flipping Maine's second district and getting Maine at large by a very close margin against Hillary Clinton. I think Ted Cruz, being from Texas, a senator from Texas, would not have the same kind of appeal to people in the Northeast. Same thing with Trump bringing New Hampshire close, which we'll talk about in a second. But I think that Ted Cruz would not be able to manipulate the same hype in the Northeast for the Republican trends that Donald Trump was able to harness, and Ted Cruz would not do as well here. And so Hillary Clinton would have maintained Maine's second district and won Maine at large by a larger margin. From the state of New Hampshire, I believe that she would have won it lean, despite the trends and the fact that New Hampshire is trending towards the red column. Like I just said, Ted Cruz does not have much appeal, in my opinion, to the people in the Northeast, the trending Republicans of the Northeast, as he is from Texas. We'll go over here to the West Coast from the state of Nevada. I think that would go lean towards Hillary Clinton. It was one of the pure toss-up states, or considered to be one of the pure toss-up states going into the 2016 election. Hillary Clinton, it was one of the few toss-up states that she ended up winning, but she won this state, and I think that Ted Cruz, in my opinion, being a weaker nominee than Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton would have won the state by a larger margin. Going over to the state of Arizona, I think Arizona would have gone by a lean margin to Ted Cruz. You have to look. Right now, we're seeing the state of Arizona trending blue by a very wide margin. Like it went 4 points to 4 points to the left to Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election, and now we're looking at it as almost a pure toss-up with its Senate seat and its presidential election. But I think that if we're going back to 2016 here, it was less of a toss-up state and more of a red state, and for that reason, it would go to Ted Cruz. From the state of Colorado, I believe that it would be lean, and the state of New Mexico would be likely. Another state that's been trending blue, Colorado, I think would be a lean margin, even if Ted Cruz was the nominee. It would just not as blue of a state as it is now. You looked at it as a pure toss-up state maybe a couple of years before this, but now it is a blue state. But in the 2016 election, it would have gone by a lean margin to Hillary Clinton, and New Mexico would have gone by a likely margin. Hillary Clinton has a very distinct appeal to people in this area, in my opinion. From the state of Texas, Ted Cruz's home state, he is unpopular in the state, but I still think that he would have won it by a lean margin. Again, this is another state that's trending blue, but it would not have trended blue as much in the 2016 presidential election as it is now being considered a toss-up in the 2020 presidential election. But Ted Cruz would have been able to win the state by a lean margin. He is unpopular in the state, but he still would have won it. Going over here to Nebraska's second district, we'll just put that as a lean. Ted Cruz is a very establishment Republican, a very traditional conservative Republican who has small government ideals and things related to that. We'll go over to the state of Iowa. I think Iowa would be a tilt margin towards Ted Cruz. Hillary Clinton had basically lost the state of Iowa going into the 2016 presidential election against Donald Trump, but I think that it would be almost a pure toss-up if she was going off against the nominee being Ted Cruz. Going to the state of Minnesota. Minnesota is a state that, in my opinion, has been trending red, but I think that in the 2016 election, it still would have gone to Hillary Clinton by a lean margin, probably a bit larger margin than it went against Donald Trump. So Ted Cruz would not have much appeal to the people up there. In my opinion, since he's from the Sun Belt down here, like I said, he does that much approval in the Northeast. And going down here to the state of Georgia, I think Ted Cruz would have won it lean. I think Hillary Clinton was very good at turning out the black vote in the 2016 presidential election. But another state that's been trending blue very quickly, very fast, almost flipped to the Democrats in the 2018 midterms for Stacey Abrams in the gubernatorial election. I think that in the 2016 election, Hillary Clinton would have been able to turn out the black vote, but it was just not as trending blue of a state yet. And so for that reason, it would go by a lean margin to Ted Cruz. In the state of Florida, I believe that Hillary Clinton would have won it by a 2 margin. You look at what she did in 2016, she did a lot of campaigning for Florida's 29 electoral votes, and although she didn't win it, it was a very close state, obviously. And I think that if Ted Cruz was the nominee, he wouldn't have as much appeal to the people in Florida, just being not as good of a nominee, being more of an establishmentarian Republican. And for that reason, Florida would go in the blue column. But from the state of North Carolina, I believed it would have gone a lean margin. It went to Mitt Romney in 2012, and it went to Barack Obama in 2008. It flipped for Mitt Romney, one of the two flips along with Indiana, which would be a safe seat now, safe 11 like 12 votes. But from the state of North Carolina, Ted Cruz would have won its 15 electoral votes. There being a lot of classic Republicans in the state of North Carolina, they would have liked a candidate like Ted Cruz. Going to the state of Virginia, this might have been a closer election here. You see Virginia turning a bit more to the blue column now, but Hillary Clinton also being more of an establishment candidate. And since she's an establishment candidate, she will have a lot of appeal to the people in Virginia. And so for that reason, the state of Virginia would have gone to Hillary Clinton by a lean margin. From the state, we'll go over to the state of Ohio. I think the state of Ohio would have gone by a tilt margin along with Iowa. These are similar states, trending like Indiana once did and trending like Missouri once did before that even. But Ohio is trending towards the red column. But I believe in the 2016 margin, Ted Cruz would have only won it by a tilt margin. People in Ohio really did not like Hillary Clinton being corporate and establishmentarian of a Democrat. And so for that reason, they would vote against her even if Ted Cruz was the nominee, a just generic Republican. And so for that reason, Ohio's 18 electoral votes would go to Ted Cruz. From the state of Pennsylvania, I believe that it would have gone by a lean margin to Hillary Clinton. This is due to the fact that I said before the Northeast, and this is also Rust Belt, but I think it's like the Northeast. Ted Cruz wouldn't have much appeal here to the Rust Belt. His policies don't directly try to help. You could argue like Donald Trump's do, and because of that, the state of Pennsylvania would go lean. I think the state of Michigan would go lean, maybe even likely. These are blue states. This was part of the blue wall for them. This wasn't even considered a toss-up, really, for Donald Trump in the 2016 election. And so I think if Ted Cruz was the nominee, you would see a similar kind of thing, but it being a wider margin of victory for Hillary Clinton. And Michigan would go by the blue column. And then the state of Wisconsin, I believe, would also go by a lean margin. You see the states of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania here all being by lean margins. You could even put some of them at likely margins like Minnesota or Michigan. But in this situation, we're going to put Hillary Clinton at winning all these states by lean margins. I just don't think that Ted Cruz's policies in small government and on immigration would align with the people of the state as much as Donald Trump's did. Donald Trump was also an anti-establishment candidate, whereas Ted Cruz was more part of the establishment from a very generic Republican state who didn't have specific appeal to people in swing states like Donald Trump did, in states like Florida and states like Ohio and Michigan. And because of that, I believe that Hillary Clinton would end up with 308 electoral votes to Ted Cruz's 230 electoral votes. This would have made Hillary Clinton the 45th president of the United States following 8 years of Barack Obama. And Hillary Clinton would have soundly defeated Ted Cruz to become the 45th president of the United States. and that would have been an interesting election. It's obviously just hypothetical. This is not going to happen, but I think that this would have been an interesting election to see. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe as always, and I will see you guys later.